Happy Sunday to you. I hope you're well. It's nearly 25 years, since the first convictions for theft and fraud relating to the post office scandal. Between 1999 and 2015, more than 700 people were prosecuted based on data from the faulty Horizon software. This week, not only has the former post office boss handed back her CBE, but Rishi Sunak has announced that the government will bring in a new law to swiftly exonerate and compensate victims of the scandal. It's after the four-part drama Mr. Bates versus the Post Office aired on New Year's Day. Since then, 50 new potential victims have contacted lawyers. I've heard so many people talking about the TV drama as well. Joining me now is Dr. Rachael Molitor, who is a university psychologist. Good morning to you. It's great to have you with us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, real life dramas. I mean, we find them gripping, don't we? And I think they're powerful as well, right? Because often we've not heard about this story. We don't know the ins and outs of it, or we've forgotten about it.
I think that's what's fascinating about this story. It is, it's a true story. So in the sense that this has actually happened to some people, say 25 years ago, and it's been in and out of the media slowly, when it's been sort of court articles and discussions around it, but actually by dramatising it, yes, they do say that there are some bits that have been created for dramatisation purposes for the ITV, but fundamentally it is a true story about true people's lives, which I think is so fascinating for the general public who may have known about it if they may have heard about their sub-postmasters going through this during the time. But actually now, as of New Year, the majority of our whole country has now probably watched this. I mean, I know I have, and I was gripped to it, and I couldn't move away from it. And I think the whole story is fascinating for people who either don't know much about it or knew about some of it but wanted to know the ins and outs. We're humans. We're intrigued by these sort of stories to see what actually happened behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And I think also miscarriages of justice. When we hear about that, the majority of humans, we're outraged by it. We want those people who have been damaged unfairly to get compensation, to get justice. I mean, how important is it to document stories like this that have happened to prevent further things happening in the future where it's extremely unfair, miscarriages of justice, the effect on people's lives?
Oh, it's so important to be able to have this information. I think that is the real challenge. A lot of the stuff was hidden under the scenes, and without trying to give too much of the storyline away in case people haven't watched the programme yet or heard about it, but there is so much injustice going on. There's this David and Goliath type struggle against institutional power. There's wrongful accusations. There's people losing their money, their home, their livelihood. And all of this just because some people higher up in this sort of hierarchy suggested that they couldn't possibly have done anything. It had to be the little people. And I think that's where this is such a fascinating storyline, is the little people normally don't get the winning sort of thing at the end, whereas actually now it's turned on its head, and the little people in inverted commas sort of are actually now getting the justice that they truly deserve. And keeping this storyline is really good to be able to get the general public to actually understand what has actually gone on and what is happening.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this, a lot. We know that when powerful people get away with stuff that they shouldn't. And so I think this story sort of is almost like an example for us all how never to give up. Even if we are the little people or the underdog in any sort of circumstance, if you're in the right and things aren't going, things aren't sort of as they should be, then a quest for the truth and justice is so important.
It really is. And I think that's where the dramatisation really kind of helps to support the main characters of Alan and Joe, who are, just a number of the 555 sub-postmasters that went through this. The fact that they sat there and went through all the information for years and years and years. It's only now we're getting some people that are coming out of the quiet or the woodwork, or maybe thought that they couldn't say anything about it, and they feel like they've just had to go through these years with a huge loss of money and time. And I think it resonates with us a lot. Due to the cost of living crisis, everything is so much more expensive, and we can be really struggling for money at times. And to think of losing that sort of money, these people have gone through this, may have been quiet now, but actually the people who have pushed and broken down those institutional walls and fought against the higher powers actually have, it's a success story. So in that sort of sense, it's so wonderful to feel like they have actually got something out of this.
Yeah. I mean, I know that some of the sort of complicated legal information around the post office scandal, probably I would have never picked up on in a news article, as some of it's pretty dry. You know, I mean, I've friends have said to me, this is amazing, you know, the TV is so good. Do you think we're better at absorbing complicated information in a drama because it almost, I don't know, was it a bit more sexy really on TV screen than reading it in a newspaper?
You're absolutely correct. I mean, when we watch something in a drama, we take it in a lot more. It's the same as when they say with anything that we do around learning, the psychology of learning. If you learn something in a story or you learn something in a song, you learn it so much easier just purely because it's not this sort of dry words and names and dates and such. Whereas hearing it in a story, you can actually start to understand it. It resonates with you. You start to identify with the characters and you want to know more. And I know myself from watching the 4 hours of the sort of the drama documentary, I've now gone on and read so many more things about it because I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know this happened at all. Whereas without that prompt, and I think that's what's fascinating for the general population at the moment, we wouldn't have sat there on New Year's Day and said, oh, do you know what? Randomly, I'm going to go and read up about the post office scandal. Whereas actually now, having this drama, it's helped and supported people to either give them that little bit of a nudge to go and read more about it. But actually, you're right, it is sexier. It is something which kind of gives us a bit more, we can get our teeth into it. It may dramatise the story, but it is a true story of true people's lives, which I think is really important for us to remember when we do watch this and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on my list. If I can just stay at past 8 p.m, Dr. Rachael Molitor, I will be there watching it. Oh, dear. Thank you so much for coming on the show and chatting to us about it. And have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you, and to you as well.
It is fascinating, isn't it?